What's going on, guys? Justin with 1791. Thanks for watching. Today we're doing another installment on our educational series, and today we're specifically doing a deep dive on the different concealed carry positions, and we're also taking a second look at the experimental backup gun concealed carry technique I've been pioneering for the better part of a year called 38 offset. So let's get into it, guys. Alright, so starting off, we're going to talk about the 3 o'clock position. The old trusty, the standby, the one that I personally subscribe to for 99.9% of carry. I do sometimes do some other techniques. Those are usually in addition to or in conjunction to that 3 o'clock position. So 3 o'clock, just for those of you who may not be aware of the different like o'clocks of carry, if front is like noon, going to my right, you'd have 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock is on basically directly on the hip. The reason why I like to carry it there and some of the benefits to carrying it there is, to me, it's a good balance between speed and concealability and comfort. There are those big 3 things that need to be kind of juggled at the same time: speed, concealability, and comfort. But 3 o'clock position doesn't work for everybody, and sometimes it can be a little bit of a discomfort with that pistol riding directly on that hip. I do promise you it is something that you get used to over time, but one of the big advantages to 3 o'clock is it's very consistent to go to that location, especially if you have some training in a different craft. For instance, if you are a military veteran or a law enforcement veteran, you're already going to be very accustomed to going to that 3 o'clock position. The only thing that changes is you have to clear a cover garment, versus in the aforementioned professions, you're going to have an exposed duty style holster typically, unless you're a narc or something. But yeah, that 3 o'clock position is very easy to conceal it, especially if it's worn inside the waistband, which is typically my prescription. I'm never a proponent of open carry, unless I'm like on, out in the backwoods or something, or on our family land, kind of bebopping around, not really worried about even bumping into someone that might see my gun. I just have it with me. So, but especially if I'm in the public eye, my gun will always be concealed, and typically 3 o'clock is 3 o'clock, and especially inside the waistband, is very easy to conceal, especially even with just a t-shirt. I can concealed carry at the 3 o'clock position year round, whether it's summer and it's 100 degrees here where I live, or whether it's winter and it's -10, -20 degrees. I can still carry there. I can still access the pistol with proper technique, so it's a good balance. Next up, we'll talk about the 4 o'clock carry. So 4 o'clock is another old trusty. That one is very, very similar to carrying at the 3 o'clock, except for the pistol is going to be a little bit further behind the hip, kind of right above your dominant side butt cheek, or your right butt cheek, kind of right above there. Really important thing for that is to have a proper holster that is going to have a little bit of a forward cant, like this BH 2.1. A little bit of a forward cant there, just because the further you move your hand back, your natural body mechanics are going to want to make your wrist and your hand kind of tilt a little bit. So you got to have a little bit of a forward cant there to make the pistol more accessible and make it more comfortable when you are drawing back there. Drawing from back there is very quick. The concealability is, in my opinion, a little bit suffering, because I like things, for me, I really like things directly on my hips or forward as far as a weapon. I don't really like to have a weapon get behind my hips, because then there's a higher likelihood of someone seeing it that I am not aware of if they're beyond my peripheral vision. Someone might notice that I have a weapon and they might do a gun grab. That's a bad situation to be in, especially if they're doing a gun grab from the rear when they're going to have the greatest opportunity to surprise you with that gun grab. So 4 o'clock is very, very comfortable, especially with like something like this outside the waistband BH. There are certain holsters that you can utilize that you can carry IWB behind the hip. For instance, our TAC Kydex IWB, this is adjustable for a cant. You can actually back out that front screw closest to the sight track end. You can back that screw out a little bit, and you can actually tilt that belt clip, and then you can tighten it back up, and you can build a little bit of angle into the ride position of that holster, so that you can carry at the 4 o'clock position back there pretty easily. And especially if it's inside the waistband, it's so much more concealable back there. So that's something to consider as well. Not all holsters can do that, especially not all of our holsters, because a lot of our holsters have belt clips that are sewn directly into the material. But our TAC Kydex IWB is modular in that respect, that you can do a little bit of angle there. So one of the things that I like about the 4 o'clock position is it really kind of takes the pressure of that weapon off of the hip. At this point in my career of carrying guns, I've gotten pretty used to things being inside the waistband and directly on the hip. But it doesn't mean it's comfortable though. So sometimes I will like to carry it kind of directly behind that hip a little bit in the 4 o'clock position, and it's pretty quick to get to as well. So next up, I want to talk about appendix carry. Now, speaking of appendix carry, I'm going to kind of talk about that in conjunction with that 38 offset concealed carry technique that I've been working on. Essentially, the 38 offset technique incorporates carrying a semi-automatic compact size pistol inside the waistband at the 3 o'clock, and then it also incorporates a 38 special carried approximately 38 degrees forward of that pistol in the appendix position. I know it's kind of a dorky little play on words, but that's why I call it 38 offset. The reason why I like to carry that 38 up there is because sometimes a 38 can do things, or a wheel gun can do things that a semi-automatic cannot, and it's nice to have that versatility. It's also nice to have a backup gun in general. Just because your primary pistol, it can go down, and it's not uncommon for semi-automatic pistols to malfunction. And if you are in a gunfight, which I would argue is the worst day of your life, if you're in that gunfight and your gun stops working, then you're bringing a knife to a gunfight. You know what I mean? Like, if the gunfight is already a gunfight, make sure that you have a gun for the gunfight, is kind of my prescription to this. So that appendix carry position is nice because it's easier to draw that from a seated position. It's easier to grab that appendix carry pistol with your offhand if you are injured. You can also do a New York reload with that appendix carry gun. There's just a ton of advantages to it. You can also do contact shooting, which is a lot easier to do. Just grappling in general, using a wheel gun is usually a better situation than a semi-automatic, because you might get that first round with a semi-automatic if you had to like literally press it up against a bad guy and squeeze the trigger. But you're going to have to cycle the slide because that would have created a malfunction. Or it might be pushing the gun out of battery, which in that case you wouldn't even get your first round off. With a wheel gun, it doesn't really suffer from those limitations, so it's nice to have the right hammer for the right nail, if you're smelling what I'm stepping in. A lot of folks really like appendix carry just because it's fast. It is marginally a little bit faster for me to go to an appendix carry gun versus my semi-automatic 3 o'clock gun. It's a little bit faster, but for me, I tend to lean towards 3 o'clock for my position for my semi-automatic pistol, just because that's what I'm more comfortable with. If you're an appendix carry dude, then keep on doing that. That's fine. My thing is, I do, yes. The answer is yes. I do both most of the time now. I will carry 3 o'clock with my Glock 19, and I'll carry Appendix carry with my Smith 642 in this Fairchase Deerhide holster, which I have a really neat story to tell about my last range day with this one, which I'm excited to talk to you guys about, but I'll leave that till the end, so make sure you're watching to the end. All right, next one I'll talk about is cross draw. So right here I have one of our 1791 4-way IWB OWB holsters. If you're curious about all the different positions you can carry this thing in, we have a separate video specifically about this holster, which I will link in the description below. But suffice it to say, I'm using this as my example for cross draw. And just because we make a holster that allows you to do that doesn't mean that like that's my favorite thing to do. There are a lot of people that like to carry cross draw. I will tell you that I don't like it. I don't like it because it's hard to conceal. About the only thing that I can think of where it's moderately advantageous is like if you're in a car a lot. You know what I mean? Like let's say you're a truck driver and you own your own truck, and because you own your own truck, you can like carry a gun, whatever, however the regulations go. Let's say you're a truck driver and you're in your truck a lot. Sometimes cross draw is pretty advantageous because like you don't have to fight with a seat belt or anything like that to access it. You can just come across, grab that thing, and when you jerk it, especially if you're right-handed, it's right there at the door if you need to blast a few rounds through the door to stop something going on. It's just a little bit easier to access versus 3 o'clock or heaven forbid 4 o'clock. That's one of the major disadvantages of 4 o'clock is if you're in a vehicle or in a seated position, you really got to move quite a bit to get access to that pistol. So that's one of the main advantages to cross draw. The only other thing that I can think where cross draw really kind of comes into play is if like you're just bebopping around in the backcountry on a 4-wheeler or whatever. Sometimes it's just nice to have it over there, especially if you like need access to your front pocket for your phone or something like that. Or let's say you're, carrying something over on your right hip, like a tool belt or something. Let's say you're a farmer out fixing fence and you have your tools over here. Maybe you just stick your pistol on the opposite side. But from an everyday practical perspective of carrying a pistol, with the experience that I have and the level of training that I have, I can't prescribe cross draw as a very serious concealed carry method unless you have a very specific need to carry cross draw. The next thing I'll talk about is a shoulder holster. So shoulder holsters are great, but shoulder holsters are a very limited tool in my opinion, and they set themselves up in a very specific situation. So a shoulder holster really kind of shines when you're wearing a jacket, all right? I'm not talking about like a light flannel like you can see in this footage. I'm talking about a jacket that's a little bit puffier. It's going to do a better job of breaking up the outline of that gun. So that is a little bit easier to conceal it in that manner. For me personally, maybe it's because I'm not like super duper well practiced on drawing from a shoulder holster, but I struggle getting the pistol out of the shoulder holster as quick and efficient as I would out of an inside the waistband 3 o'clock holster. Again, throwing the caveat out there, I'm way more well trained and well practiced on an inside the waistband draw from the 3 o'clock, but that's not to say that I don't have a significant amount of practice on a shoulder holster. It's just quicker to go to the inside the waistband. But especially in these winter months, if you are wearing a jacket, like even when you walk into a store, you're not taking your jacket off. Let's say you walk into your local Fleet Farm or something, you're not going to take your jacket off in there while you're walking around. You might unzip it just to get some airflow, and at that point you're not going to be exposing your pistol. One of the nice things about shoulder carry is it takes all of the weight and the mass and the bulk. It takes that up off of your waistline and out of your inside the waistband region, and it disperses that across your shoulders, which that right there is super comfortable. I really like that aspect of it. It's also cool, you know what I mean? Shoulder holsters are just super rad, especially from the time I'm filming this. It's actually the Christmas season right now, and Die Hard is a Christmas movie. That's why we call this thing the Nakatomi Special. Die Hard is one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite Christmas movies. The only thing that maybe tops it at this point is the movie Fat Man with Mel Gibson. If you haven't seen that, you have to see it. Please make sure that you watch Fat Man. But anyways, shoulder holsters are just, there's a cool factor there, and that's one of the reasons why we did this guy. We have a few different fits of this. We do a Glock fit, a 1911 fit, and then a SIG P320 fit. Thumb brake retention on the horizontal version, and then we also do a vertical version that's a little bit more kind of like 1920s-esque gangster style. And then there is a double magazine carrier on the opposite side, and that double magazine carrier is adaptable. It'll work with 1911 mags, it'll work with double stack mags. So there's actually two different snaps that you can choose which snap is going to be best suited for the size magazine that you're running. So good range of adjustment on all four of the harness pieces, and yeah, super comfortable way to carry a pistol. Now, here's a little insider tip about shoulder holster carry that's kind of neat. Let's say you shower in the evening and you're going to throw on some PJs and hang out with the wife, whatever. It is really easy to just throw this on, and then you have your pistol and a couple of mags, and you just throw that on underneath your bathrobe or whatever, and like you've got you know, quite a formidable system that is ready to go. That is more of an advanced concealed carry technique that one of the guys that I have gotten to know over the years, Masada Ayub, that is something that Moss told me a couple years back. He calls that home carry. I don't believe he pioneered that word, but that is definitely something that a lot of cops do. As far as like when they get home in the evening, they still carry in their home, even though that they're in their safe domain. They've been on enough crime scenes to know that it's really not all that safe. It doesn't take long to kick in a door. That's one of the feathers in the cap of shoulder holster carry, is it's really easy to just like throw that on underneath your bathrobe and you've got your blaster and a couple of magazines. Something that I do often is I actually take the Fairchase Deerhide with my 38 here, and I will actually just clip that inside the waistband of my pajama pants, and then I'll just tie that drawstring tight, and that way I have something with me. It's certainly not a Glock 19 with 2 spare mags, but it's definitely something to get me to the other gun, because that's an important thing that is critical to remember about carrying any pistol. Is a pistol is for getting you to a rifle, all right? Rifles are for fighting, and pistols are for getting you to a rifle. So that's why, like, especially inside the home, I will at least carry my 38s as the forcing function to get me to my rifle. You know what I mean? So, all right. One of the last things I want to talk about in this is kind of bringing it back to 38 offset. And a new advantage, or another advantage that I've come to realize about carrying 38 offset, especially in the winter when you're wearing a heavy coat. Sometimes, especially if you have a longer coat and you're in like northern climate where it does get below 0 and you're definitely zipped up and you're wearing like a kind of a heavier parka, even with the best garment clearing technique, it's difficult to get to that pistol. So one thing that I've noticed that is really kind of neat about 38 offset, what I'll do is if I'm wearing a heavy coat, I can dismount that pistol from the front, and then I can put it in the front left pocket, front left exterior pocket of the coat. Now, quick caveat for safety, I would never do this on a coat pocket that doesn't zip. So I'll immediately put that pistol on the left-hand side, and I'll zip that shut just for added retention and security. Now, the reason why I like that is because I can quickly access that compared to the inside the waistband holster. I can also shoot through the coat if I need to. And the reason why I like it on the offhand side instead of the strong hand side is because something might happen with my primary hand that facilitates the need for me to reach my hand in my coat pocket and use my non-dominant hand as my shooting hand. I really highly encourage you guys, if you're not already ambidextrous with your shooting skills, you need to get there quickly because there are no guarantees that your primary arm is going to be fully operational when you need to use these skills. So that's one of the reasons why I like 38 offset, because under most normal circumstances, I can grab that pistol with my offhand hand if my primary arm is injured, and I can draw and shoot with my left hand. But when I'm wearing a heavy coat, and the main function for me having that pistol is to use, because that's easier to grab than my 3 o'clock pistol all the way around on the other side. When I'm wearing my coat, I'll actually just put it in my left pocket. That way I'm ambidextrous. I can use either hand to fight. I can use either hand to access a lethal force tool should the need for that tool arise. Now, here is kind of like the sneak preview I alluded to earlier. What I'll do is I'll put my hand in my pocket and I'll use my thumb to kind of nudge that holster forward a little bit, and then I can just sneak my finger inside the trigger guard, just like that. Now, essentially my hand is on the pistol, and if I need to actually use deadly force, my weapon is already oriented essentially downrange in the direction of the threat, so my finger is on the trigger at this point. And what I can do is I can just push my coat out and go bam, 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 and get a couple of rounds on target. What I can do then is I can take my hand off the pistol, and that bought me enough time to draw my primary pistol out and really finish that fight. So that is a really, really neat capability there that I really like. Now, essentially, just for quick notes here, this is a right-handed fair chase holster, right? Now, carrying it left-handed, the pocket clip will be against my body, right? Or facing inboard towards the body against the jacket. So essentially, when I put my left hand on there, that pocket clip makes a really handy lever to push that forward with my thumb and get some space in there to get my finger inside the trigger guard. Now, when I did this on the range, I shot this gun inside the holster, inside the pocket, and my coat was annihilated. My coat pocket is trashed. I ended up throwing that jacket away after I did that, for science, right? But anyways, get my finger inside there, but the holster itself is no worse for wear. It's shot straight through the bottom, no problem. There's no damage to the fair chase holster other than it smells very ripe of gunshot residue now. Oh yeah, it smells a little cooked. But yeah, I shot straight through the holster on that, and that is a neat thing that you can have the capability to do. Again, quick safety caveat, do this in a safe and controlled environment, and really kind of do this under the eye of someone else that can watch for safety, especially when you're learning how to do this for the first time. But that is an awesome capability that you can just, if you're carrying 38 offset and you know you're going to be wearing a heavy coat, you just dismount that thing, flip it over to essentially left-handed draw, put it in that coat pocket, zip it up, and then you have essentially a tool that you can access from the left side. One more thing that I'll mention about being as ambidextrous as possible and also being able to shoot one-handed. A few weeks back we did a video talking about one-handed shooting and the importance of being perfect in one-handed shooting. Now, one thing that's really tough to do, especially if we're simulating that our support arm went down and we're shooting strong hand only, when you go empty with that thing, it's really tough to reach that magazine all the way across on my left-hand side. So something that I've started doing is I can carry a shorter Glock 19 magazine in that coin pocket of your jeans, and then right there I can holster my pistol, grab that shorter magazine out of my coin pocket, shove it in the back of the magazine, rack the slide off of the rear sights off of my belt, and then I'm back in action. I normally like to carry a Glock 17 magazine on the offhand side, just because for the trouble of carrying that spare magazine, I like, you know, the extra 2 rounds, and the Glock 17 magazine works in the Glock 19, yada, yada, yada. But especially when it's inside the coin pocket, that Glock 19 size magazine, it sits just below the belt line, and then the top of the belt line kind of acts as a bit of a retention piece to help keep that magazine down seated in the coin pocket. So that's just something neat to think through. I've now gotten to the point where I carry 2 spare magazines just because, like, hey, why not? It makes me more adaptable. I carry my Glock 19, I carry my 17 magazine on the offhand side, right where my reloads would be on a duty belt. And then I'll carry a Glock 19 magazine in the coin pocket, and then my 38 in the 38 offset. For some people, that might scream like, gosh, what are you afraid of? And like that old joke says, there's a lady that got pulled over, and the officer says, you have any weapons in the car? And the old lady says, yeah, I have an AR-15 behind the seat. I have a 38 in my purse. I'm carrying a 1911 on a shoulder holster, and there's a shotgun in the trunk. And then the officer asked the lady, what are you afraid of? And then she simply replies, not a damn thing. So yeah, I don't carry all this stuff because I'm afraid of something. I carry all this stuff because I know the way the world is. I know the dangers of the world. I've seen the ugly underbelly of the world. Even in the United States, we have an illusion of law and order. We have that thin blue line that we have seen over the years has been eroded and pushed too far. And really, like, you are your own first responder, all right? So especially if you are, you know, a husband and a dad, and you have people to protect, there are people that have been placed under your charge to protect. You better be dangerous, all right? You better be dangerous, and you better have a good heart and be doing things in a justified manner, because that's what it takes, all right? It takes someone that can be absolutely lethal and then flip that switch and render medical aid or go play dollies with their daughter. So, all right, guys, this is Justin with 1791. If you have any questions or comments on all these different concealed carry positions and methods, throw it in the comments down below. I love getting down there and kind of chatting with people. I get the occasional troll that wants to argue with me about something. That's fine. If you are an internet expert about all things concealed carry, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you in the comment section. All right. Until next time, guys, train hard and carry your gun.